Welcome to the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, where you can take a deep dive to explore the pitfalls and potential of the obsessive-compulsive personality, offering hope and help for perfectionists, workaholics, micromanagers, type A personality, and control freaks. Hello, everyone. Gary Trosclair here, psychotherapist, Jungian psychoanalyst, and author of the Healthy Compulsive Project book, blog, and podcast. We're in the middle of a blizzard here in New York, so if you hear some wind, that's where it's coming from. Meanwhile, receiving an OCPD diagnosis can cause relief or overwhelm. In either case, it's important to know that the traits that once fueled rigidity and perfectionism can also support meaningful change. This post suggests 5 steps to reclaim your personality from the disorder. I use the acronym RAILS, RAILS, to remember the importance of self-respect, acknowledging the harm maladaptive perfectionism causes, identifying the protective strategy you've used to manage insecurity, letting go, and setting priorities. By consistently practicing these tools, through therapy, journaling, reading, support groups, or open conversations, you gradually rewire old patterns and melt the rigidity that has held you back. With patience and sustained effort, you can shift toward the healthy, adaptive end of the obsessive-compulsive spectrum and create a more flexible, authentic, and fulfilling life. So join me for episode 109 of the Healthy Compulsive Project, 5 steps to respond to an OCPD diagnosis. I was asked to write a post that would give instructions for a quick start to dealing with an OCPD diagnosis, that is, obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. This is understandable. While getting a diagnosis is a relief for some, for others it's upsetting and overwhelming. It can be hard to know where to start when you get news like that. So this post is designed for those who've recently received an OCP diagnosis but aren't sure what to do about it. Quick fixes and life hacks are not effective with personality disorders. They serve instead as distractions and detours. But there are effective ways to respond that will serve you well in the long run. Here are 5 key steps to help you start removing the disorder from your potentially healthy obsessive-compulsive personality. It might seem daunting at first, but if you focus on these steps in your daily life, you'll be off to a good start. The key to hope is realizing that the same energy and determination that's gone into your unhealthy obsessive-compulsive tendencies can be enlisted to turn things around so you can become a healthy compulsive. Personality doesn't change easily or completely, but it can change. Focus on taking the disorder out and cultivating the positive aspects of your personality. Make your well-being a priority and you'll do well. Use the acronym RAILS, R-A-I-L-S, to remember the following tools and get you where you want to go. In order to keep this succinct, I'll need to be straightforward. Please know that there's compassion behind it. We're using a psychiatric diagnosis here only as a starting point, not a pigeonholing label. 1. Respect yourself. An OCP diagnosis doesn't mean that you're bad or that you're cursed for life. In fact, you're in good company. Lots of people who have obsessive-compulsive personalities have contributed significantly to the world. It doesn't mean you're weak or stupid or immoral. In some cases, it just means you try too hard and in the wrong ways. The obsessive-compulsive personality manifests on a spectrum from healthy and adaptive to unhealthy and maladaptive. Both start with the same psychological material. The unhealthy version is frozen, and the healthy version is free-flowing. Melt the rigidity and you have great potential, like ice to water. So don't picture yourself as fundamentally flawed, just frozen. Self-respect helps to melt the ice. Otherwise, unproductive self-criticism prolongs the condition by freezing the water, and straining to get respect from others is often part of the problem. Self-care will be essential as well. Good sleep, healthy diet, and exercise create a secure base to work from and makes it less likely you'll slip into old patterns. 2. Acknowledge the costs of maladaptive perfectionism. You're also going to need to fess up about how you've hurt yourself and others by criticizing yourself or others for not being perfect. Maladaptive perfectionism, that is, criticizing yourself when you don't reach your aspiration, destroys self-respect. The costs include low self-esteem, depression, irritability, damaged relationships, and all of the draining stress that comes from trying to compensate for insecurity so typical of an OCPD diagnosis. Ask yourself, when and where might your perfectionism and control have hurt you or others? And what is the future like if you continue living this way? To melt the OCPD diagnosis, take responsibility, not blame. Responsibility and respect together are like the parallel rails of a railroad track. 3. Identify your protective strategy. Figure out what purpose maladaptive perfectionism has served for you. Typically, we use maladaptive perfectionism to try to prop ourselves up for the things we feel insecure about. The insecurity is often about whether we are morally good or competent. And we do this whether we're aware of it or not. Our perfectionism is often unconsciously intended to compensate for the aspects of ourselves we don't feel secure about. Here are 4 common protective strategies, all of which can be turned around. We can use the energy productively instead. In most cases, natural and healthy tendencies have been hijacked to prove worth. These 4 strategies are simply different ways of using perfectionism and control to try to gain security rather than pursue passions. There are many more strategies, and yours may be different. Here they are. 1. Rigidly assuming you know the only correct way to do things, and you tell others how to do them. 2. Overworking. 3. Pleasing others as a form of control. And 4. Overthinking, overplanning, and procrastinating. Try to identify when you use these strategies and question the inner voice that says you must use them. 4. Let go and feel. People with OCP use these strategies because they tend to be risk-averse. They try to avoid risk by holding on to control, ideas, time, and money. The main risk they feel is experiencing uncomfortable feelings such as shame and anxiety. Sit with these feelings rather than avoiding them with protective strategies. This is the path to change. Take the risk of not holding on to control, ideas, time, and money. Cultivate the skill of letting go. This probably won't feel good. Learn to live with the discomfort rather than hoping that it will go away. The key is to acknowledge the feeling without identifying with it. So, for instance, rather than telling yourself, "I am anxious," say to yourself, "There is anxiety." This helps you distance yourself from the anxiety without trying to avoid it with protective strategies. Otherwise, you continue to pay thugs to protect you against your own self-judgment. It's an extortion racket. Experiment with letting go of your protective strategies. Practice by starting small. Learning to let go and take chances is more important than getting things right. Feelings rise and fall like waves. They are not permanent. Ride the wave. And 5, set your priorities. OCPD is a disorder of priorities. Your values are out of order. You've lost track of what's most important to you and what's authentic to you. So, name the 5 most important things, people, or values in your life. Write them down. Put them on your refrigerator door, screensaver, or other places that will keep them foremost in your thoughts. Observe how your strategies prohibit you from honoring these priorities, and then honor your priorities with your actions. Draw a circle, divide it into sections representing your priorities. Then draw a circle of how you actually spend your time and energy. Making the 2 circles the same is your new priority. So remember rails: respect, acknowledge, identify, let go, and set priorities. For decades, you've laid down neural wiring to protect yourself from disturbing feelings. That's a lot of axons, dendrites, and synapses to change. To take the disorder out of an OCPD diagnosis, you'll need to lay down new neural pathways, or railways, over the old ones by reaffirming and integrating new ways of living. Like learning a musical instrument, you will need to practice. And here are some ways to practice. If you can, go to therapy. Journal about how you have used protective strategies or the 5 tools not to use those protective strategies. Read a post from this blog or listen to an episode from the podcast every day for 30 days. Read the Healthy Compulsive book to build a strong foundation. Attend a support group. And tell your friends and family you're making a commitment to change. This is how you lay down new neural wiring to override the old wiring of an OCPD diagnosis. Or, to return to our original metaphor, these are the actions that melt the ice so you can move toward the healthy end of the obsessive-compulsive spectrum. Good luck on your trip and enjoy the drive. You can find transcripts of this podcast with links to research sources and lots more at the Healthy Compulsive blog, www.thehealthycompulsive.com. If you'd like to subscribe to the Healthy Compulsive podcast, hit that subscribe button. And for a thorough guide to cultivating the positive potential of the compulsive personality, find my book on Amazon, The Healthy Compulsive, Healing Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder and Taking the Wheel of the Driven Personality. And if you find any of these helpful, let others know by leaving a review. Till next time, enjoy the drive.